Alexa Bliss WWE creative plans confirmed. Following her surprise return during the Women's Royal Rumble match, Alexa Bliss WWE creative plans have been confirmed. With her last WWE match coming at the same event 2 years prior in January 2023, Alexa Bliss entered the Royal Rumble at number 21 and received one of the loudest crowd pops of the night. Reports ahead of the Rumble stated that Bliss and WWE were in a stalemate over a new contract, adding to the surprise factor at seeing her show up during the match. With a new 5-year WWE contract reportedly being signed by Bliss, fans are now eager to see how she factors into the company's creative plans heading into WrestleMania. It was recently reported that there had been creative pitches for Alexa Bliss to join the SmackDown roster following her return, a change from earlier this week when it was stated that Bliss was planned for Raw now. In a new update, it appears that Bliss creative plans have been confirmed, with PW Insider Elite via WrestleOps now reporting that Bliss is 100% heading to SmackDown rather than Raw. While not stated as WWE's current plan in this particular update, it was previously reported that WWE had planned to bring Bliss back for an angle involving the Wyatt Six faction on the January 13th episode of Raw. However, these plans were scrapped due to the previously mentioned contract standoff between WWE and Bliss. The Wyatt Six have since been moved to SmackDown, with the faction's creative plans reported to now be separate from those of Bliss prior to her return at the Royal Rumble. It's unclear whether we will see Bliss involved with the Wyatt Six at this time, but we will provide further updates when they become available. In related news, Bliss recently commented on the tribute to Bray Wyatt featured on her gear at the Royal Rumble. Why Alexa Bliss needs to be kept away from the Wyatt Six in her WWE Return to Royal Rumble match always has a couple of surprises and returns that pop fans and get the road to WrestleMania off to a flying start. Alexa Bliss' surprise return in the Women's Rumble elicited one of the biggest pops of the night, proving just how much fans had missed her in her 2-year absence. The fact that dirt sheets were reporting contractual disputes and an indefinite timeline for Little Miss Bliss's return made her appearance even better. There are several directions WWE can go with Bliss heading into WrestleMania 41. The most obvious route would be to get her involved with the Wyatt Six, with Bliss even potentially hinting at it by walking out with Lily, the doll. But the WWE landscape is very different from the one Bliss left, and keeping her away from the Wyatt Six would be the best decision for everyone involved. Alexa Bliss has always made the most of the opportunities she has been given, often succeeding where lesser wrestlers would have failed. Her alliance with The Fiend Bray Wyatt started off well enough, as Wyatt toyed with Braun Strowman's psychological state during their feud. It lined up perfectly because fans were well aware that Strowman had a soft spot for Bliss that it could and should have ended there, but she became a part of Wyatt's twisted world. She was a big part of his feud with Randy Orton, but the storyline was a complete failure. WWE jumped the shark time and time again with supernatural hokiness. At WrestleMania 37, she turned on The Fiend, helping Orton win their feud, believing she no longer needed Wyatt, which led to the introduction of Lily, the doll. After spending some time not doing much of note, she would be tormented by Wyatt's return and the introduction of Uncle Howdy before she went on hiatus. Bliss was great, as she gradually lost her grip on sanity and succumbed to evil forces, but the angle just didn't work as a whole. After 2 years away, it would be foolish of WWE to draw from that well once more. Bliss would be much better served leaving that part of her character in the past and establishing herself in a much-changed women's division. Bliss was born to be a wrestling heel. As the goddess, her character work was above reproach. Lacking an imposing physical presence, Bliss excelled at toying with her opponents psychologically to win, no matter the cost. She also has the credibility to be immediately accepted in a main event program, with a lengthy list of first-time rivalries that WWE's women's division needs. The goddess, Alexa Bliss, WWE's women's division, is in a great place right now, but would still benefit greatly from her presence. Bliss spent a long time mixed up with Bray Wyatt and the women's tag team division, but now is the time to let her loose and pose a unique threat to the division's biggest stars. After years of working with Subpar Material, Bliss has earned the kind of spotlight her talent deserves. Alexa Bliss to target 5-time champion on WWE SmackDown? Exploring potential unfinished business at the Royal Rumble, Alexa Bliss made her return to a huge uproar. The fans were happy to see the Wicked Witch of WWE back in action after nearly 2 years. Now that she's back, the storyline possibilities are endless. But could her first big rivalry involve a 5-time champion on SmackDown? The answer to that question is potentially a yes. Well, the 5-time champion is none other than the last superstar Alexa Bliss went toe-to-toe with Bianca Belair. The EST of WWE last faced Bliss at Royal Rumble 2023, where Belair successfully defended the Raw Women's Championship. With Alexa Bliss back in action now, she might choose to settle old scores. As it happens, Bianca Belair primarily performs on SmackDown, as does a group Bliss is quite familiar with, the Wyatt Six. With that in mind, perhaps the 33-year-old could go after Belair as a representative of the Wyatt Six, or better yet, team up with Nikki Cross and attempt to win the Women's Tag Team Championship. It certainly would make for an interesting storyline, especially if it turns out that Bianca Belair was involved in Jade Cargill's recent injury. After all, the Wyatt Six seemingly have a habit of targeting superstars who betray their friends and family. That said, this is nothing more than speculation. Alexa Bliss paid tribute to Bray Wyatt at the 2025 Royal Rumble. Alexa Bliss' return at the Royal Rumble was certainly one of the highlights of the night. She put on an exceptional performance in the women's match before being eliminated by Liv Morgan. However, her performance in the ring after nearly 2 years away wasn't the only thing people noticed. Bliss entered the Rumble in some interesting attire. She not only had the iconic doll Lily with her, but she also sported a black leather jacket. The jacket was special because it paid tribute to Bray Wyatt, aka The Fiend. While it looked normal from the front, it had a message on the back, one that read "Friends Forever," with the word friend written in such a way that it also spelled fiend. It was a touching tribute from Bliss, especially given the incredible storyline she had with Bray Wyatt. It will be interesting to see what WWE has planned for her now that she's back, and if it will have anything to do with the Wyatt Six. Alexa Bliss' WWE Royal Rumble return came together late. Another entrant replaced. New reports provide an update on Alexa Bliss' return at WWE Royal Rumble. Bliss had been absent since WWE Royal Rumble 2023. During her time away, she announced her pregnancy, welcomed her daughter into the world. Bliss was reportedly set to return on the January 13th episode of WWE Raw, but the plans were nixed due to a contract dispute. Heading into WWE Royal Rumble, Bliss and WWE were reportedly far apart on a new deal. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, via Fightful Select, reports that the return of Alexa Bliss was a late decision. Sapp wrote that the reports about Bliss' status the week of the Royal Rumble were accurate. The report notes that as of the start of WWE Royal Rumble, other participants had no idea that Alexa Bliss would be competing. Per Sapp, Bliss was not at the rehearsals on Friday, and another talent was slated for her spot. Sapp writes that Shotzi was initially planned for the Royal Rumble, which would have been her first main roster appearance since the Royal Rumble in 2024. The report also notes that Shotzi's run in NXT has been to give her reps to prepare for a main roster return. Sapp writes that sources didn't hold anything against Alexa Bliss, and they were